Right now, in different parts of the world, something is happening that no one can fully explain. Not in one country, not in one culture, not in one religion. Across cities, villages, and places where people have never met, never spoken, and never shared the same beliefs. The same story keeps appearing, the same figure, the same presence, the same encounter. Thousands of people are reporting that, in the silence of the night, while they sleep, they see a man, not a vague shadow, not a confused image. A man, clear, real. And what makes this even more unsettling is that many of these people have never read the Bible, have never stepped into a church, and in some cases, have never even heard the name of Jesus in the way the West understands it. Think about that for a moment. Different languages, different backgrounds, different belief systems, and yet the same encounter. If this were happening in just one place, it would be easy to dismiss. A cultural phenomenon, a psychological pattern, a shared narrative spreading through communities. But that explanation begins to break down when the reports come from places that are isolated, restricted, and in some cases, openly hostile to Christianity. Places where owning a Bible can be dangerous. Places where speaking about Jesus can cost someone their freedom, or worse. And still, the stories keep coming. So the question becomes unavoidable. If no one is telling them, if no one is preaching, if no one is teaching, then who is introducing them to this man? This is where the mystery begins, because the descriptions are not random. They don't very well like typical dreams. Instead, they follow a pattern so specific that it forces even skeptics to pause. The man is often described wearing white. His presence is calm, but overwhelming. There is a sense of authority, but not fear. A presence that feels powerful, yet deeply personal. Many say they cannot fully see his face because of a light, a brightness that feels alive, almost like looking directly at the sun. And then he speaks. Not in riddles, not in abstract symbols, but in clear, direct words. Words that carry meaning. Words that, in many cases, match phrases found in the Bible. Phrases these individuals had no prior knowledge of. That alone raises a disturbing question. How can someone quote words they have never heard? At this point, many try to find a rational explanation. Perhaps it is coincidence. Perhaps fragments of information picked up unconsciously over time. Perhaps the human brain constructing meaning from chaos. But those explanations begin to weaken when the details align across completely unrelated individuals. People who live in different countries, who speak different languages, who have no access to the same sources of information, and yet they describe the same encounter. One of the most documented aspects of this phenomenon is not just the dream itself, but what happens after. Because these encounters are not passive, they don't end when the person wakes up. In many cases, they trigger a chain reaction, a search, a question, a need to understand who that man was. Imagine waking up from a dream that felt more real than reality itself. A presence that didn't feel like imagination, but like something external, something intentional, something that chose to reach you. What would you do? Many begin to search, in secret, quietly, carefully, especially in places where asking the wrong question can be dangerous. They look for answers, and eventually they encounter something they had never considered before. The message of the gospel. And this is where the story becomes even more intense. Because when they finally read or hear about Jesus, many of them say the same thing. That's him. That's the man I saw. Not similar. Not close. The same. This pattern repeats so often that it has caught the attention of researchers, historians, and religious scholars. Some have conducted interviews across multiple regions, trying to understand what is happening. And while interpretations vary, the core observation remains unchanged. A significant number of people who convert to Christianity in restricted environments report having a dream or vision before their conversion. That detail changes everything, because now we are no longer talking about someone being persuaded by argument, or convinced by debate, or influenced by culture. We are talking about an experience that happens in isolation, in private, in the one place where no government, no system, and no authority can intervene. The human mind, or something beyond it. There are stories of people on the edge of despair, encountering this presence at their lowest point. Stories of individuals who had no intention of changing their beliefs, suddenly confronted with something they could not ignore. Even accounts of those who were actively opposed to Christianity, who found themselves face to face with the very figure they rejected. And in many of these stories, the reaction is the same. Not fear, not confusion, but recognition, as if something deep inside them already knew. That is what makes this phenomena so difficult to categorize. It doesn't behave like propaganda. It doesn't spread like information. It doesn't follow the normal paths of influence. It appears independently. And that raises a question that is both fascinating and uncomfortable. If something like this is happening, what does it say about the boundaries we think exist between the physical and the spiritual? Between what can be explained and what cannot? For centuries, dreams have been considered a gateway, not just in religious contexts, but across cultures. Ancient civilizations believed that dreams could carry messages, warnings, even revelations. Modern science tends to interpret them as neurological processes, the brain organizing information. But what happens when a dream contains information the person never had? What happens when a dream leads to real-world decisions that alter the course of someone's life? At that point, the line between psychology and something deeper becomes harder to define. And maybe that is why this topic creates such strong reactions. Because it doesn't fit neatly into a single explanation. It challenges both belief and skepticism. It forces a confrontation with a possibility that not everything operates within the limits we are comfortable with. But there is another layer to this that often goes unnoticed. These encounters are not just about information. They are deeply personal. They speak to identity, purpose, and meaning. They often occur at moments of crises, when individuals are searching, questioning, or struggling. It is as if the encounter meets them exactly where they are, not as a distant concept, but as a direct interaction. And whether someone interprets that as divine, psychological, or something else entirely, the impact is undeniable. Lives change. Directions shift. People who once believed one thing begin to see the world differently. That transformation is real, and it is happening right. So we return to the original question. If thousands of people are seeing the same man in their dreams, and no one can explain it, what does that mean? Is it coincidence? Is it the mind? Is it something beyond human understanding? Or is it possible that something or someone is reaching across boundaries that no human system can control? This is not a question with an easy answer, and maybe that is the point. Because sometimes the most important questions are the ones that remain open, the ones that stay with you long after the story ends, the ones that challenge you to think, to question, and to look deeper. So now the question turns to you. If you had an experience like that, something that felt more real than reality, something that you couldn't explain, would you ignore it? Or would you search for the truth behind it? Write in the comments. Truth cannot be silenced. And if you're drawn to stories like this, stories that sit at the edge of history, faith, and the unknown, make sure to subscribe and leave a like, because there are still many mysteries like this happening right now that the world is only beginning to notice.